Yeah, I don't have to worry about that. I can grow mine for 2 years and I still look like I was 13.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, there's a table you need back there by where Jonathan's at, if you want to have a chat.
Paul, you can operate at this desk, man.
I was gonna ask, like, because I haven't been in the lab almost 2 weeks. Don't worry, Larry.
You guys ain't I was just waiting for everybody to go in.
Yeah, I was gonna stand until I'll take one, Larry. That's all.
I'm good. I gotta go to the next meeting.
Thank you.
We got to. I won't see outlier.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I had a call on that today. She's up there invoicing 13 hours. Okay. Still waiting on someone trying to figure out everything I get is wrong. That's good. Everything I get.
Yeah. That's I mean, one that can be solved. That's a How is it wrong?
I started.
And that's the problem. Like their accreditation is certified with DEP. So what do you think?
Well, it was, I knew it was going to happen. They didn't get potential notice of violation. Email. Reorganization. I emailed them. Thursday or something. He was off. I give him a day and I'll bug her about it. I knew he wouldn't catch it though.
Yeah. That's like
Yeah. But that's the one that's not unacceptable.
yeah. Oh, what do you do?
You can do
On
anything.
our end, it's like, oh, hey, we caught it.
Or you can do things.
Okay, we got it, and it's done. You know?
Yeah, it wasn't our. Tell him the truth. He's like, there's nothing we can do about it. Your offense is just as bad.
Like pace. Pace is just.
Because Pace is on the thing while they're buying.
Yeah.
Because they just bought ESL.
I think we all.
Which they have down in turnaround time since they proved it a Pace.
Yeah, they.
Got a call told me the day or right before Christmas. He's like, well, these need to start direction. Oh, I don't know why these didn't get sent. They were done on the 14th.
That's not what you want to hear.
They were okay.
That's what killed me if I'm trying to feel carnival set up. It's like, no, you have to sample it study before you get hauled out.
Oh, when you sampled that,
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 3 weeks. Because they were calling me like every day. I was like, I
Can't make it happen. That kills me.
can't.
And then, like, nothing else.
Reorganization. Right, I'm just gonna stop before.
Yeah, because then actually this stuff here is
It's like, this was gonna happen. We knew it.
Especially when we're there once a week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that plant went upside down. Yeah, I went there, and like, oh, okay, the cyclable solids are like in the 300s.
Yeah.
It's 980.
It's triple.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm a PJ says
Right.
people check on it. Just kind of like,
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, it was good for my house. No, I ran into that with
Yeah, we have the day.
I'm calling the same guy.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, he's really receptive in terms of
Yeah, I don't
phone
know.
calls. I left him 8 voicemails and 4 text messages. What are you talking about? It's what? And he finally saved my number. And I was like, oh, cool. So it's the fact that my phone number looks like a scam call.
But this is part of regular meeting.
As part of regular
It's
meeting, executive session.
we turn it out. Yeah, yeah.
I should have drawn a line there.
Every day.
So we need to do, like if they want, we do this and do this, or all together, it doesn't matter.
You can do. Tyler's finally out walking on without a break.
Well, you can, you're just happy about that.
Actually drive. Spent the last 2 months in the passenger seat.
All employees.
Was it in the foot?
But she had to keep it like that. So.
Unless you're driving something big.
A lot of room. Well, I was telling her, I was like, I'll hook the cane up to the gas pedal, you can just drive by feel.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you say what they are, who they are. You know, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably nice then. Yeah.
Okay. Let's call the meeting to order. We're gonna do this before the minutes.
Yeah, they, open
We're gonna open with our reorganization
meeting.
of officers and. So do we have any motion for officers?
I'll make a
changes?
motion to retain officers in the position they currently hold.
I have a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then for the treasurer and the clerks and meter reader, engineers,
I'll make a motion to
solicitor, and operations and maintenance.
keep treasurer Kathy Flug and part-time clerk and recording secretary John Wilson, meter reader Ed Eisenbrown, engineer LSSE, approving the engineering fee schedule as provided. Solicitor attorney Paul Steff as the authority legal representative. Operations and maintenance, Viola Water, approving Viola's fee schedule as provided. To retain their current positions.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Do we have the 2025 schedule?
That's already been advertised.
Yeah.
So
Right, do we have a motion
You
to,
go ahead and make a motion to.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 meeting schedule.
second?
I'll second it.
Motion been seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes. Anybody have any additions or corrections of the minutes from last month?
I have a correction. There was a misspelling in one of our visitors' names that I'm going to correct.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the minutes with that change?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written with the change.
I'll second it.
Motion been seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Public comment on agenda items at this time. All right, Viola?
You got it.
Oh, I didn't see you had your hand up when I looked around the first time.
I have a question on the Lone Pine construction work that they've completed, that they're in the process of on the State Route 989 water line extension project. That contract had the work scheduled to be completed on October 31st, and a 30-day extension was granted back in the November meeting. I don't recall if there was any further extensions given, or has that project commenced?
They haven't requested an additional extension. They advised that the main line will be done in January. So.
Is there anything in that contract to Lone Pine that they're paying a day late fee?
No.
So they're not being penalized for their excessiveness, and they haven't requested any further extensions?
No, they advised on an updated schedule for January. I mean, that's what they advised last month also. So that they'll be completed in January at the main line.
And does that include any revisions to the financial aspect of the project?
No.
no additional financial incurrence. So when a new drill is needed, there was nothing in that contract that they were updating a fee schedule accordingly.
I don't know what you mean. I mean,
They
they're getting paid to install one line. So,
they didn't need a new drill on site.
that's contractor means and methods, like, whatever they're using the equipment to get the water line in for the authority.
Do you know if they needed a new drill on site?
I'm not running a drill, I don't know.
Were you informed if they needed a new drill on
They
site?
have multiple drills on site, I'm not sure where we're going with this.
Who's eating the cost? I guess is the question. If they're 2 months, 3 months behind schedule, and they need new equipment, typically there's something in a contract that the engineers draft, that the solicitor approves, that the contractor signs.
Per foot of water line installed.
And so there were no provisions in the contract that would have any type of protection for additional
They are being
equipment.
paid per foot, water line installed.
They bid the project, they're being paid what they bid.
They're also 90 days behind schedule. So
You ever
the
run a construction project?
many.
Okay,
And-
then you know that they change.
And I also know that when we run a construction schedule that we have fees built in. And if we're days late, we're paying per day.
That's not happening here.
So what can we tell the public about the water line?
I mean, you answered your question.
Yep, we're moving
It's
on.
not a debate on
The
this
current
contract.
status is ended. That's the answer.
I don't understand why there's no transparency with this board to give the public the information that they're
What do you want
requesting.
more transparent? We're building a
Complete
water line.
transparency.
There's complete transparency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've asked questions.
And you've put press release information out there. You've provided all the information with this project to the township.
Press release.
Well, typically when you're doing a major infrastructure improvement in a community, you'd want residents to be informed that there's water being, provided to a community.
All right, we're done.
We're just done.
Yep, we're done. We've answered your questions and you're just going on. We're done. Veolia.
You can see our total gallons pumped and purchased from our respective water sources. We have
How you did the work, and we're not gonna reimburse for that work.
They would have to take the cost of and agree to pay it before we would go on to do that work.
So how do you know what the cost is going to be?
It would have to be an estimate of, it may take the solicitor X amount of hours to review this, whatever the rate for that would be.
So this would theoretically be requested via a right to know request, and there's a box that you can check on the right to know request form that's on every right to know request form that says notify me if fee is going to exceed. I think that the generic one is $100 or you can write in a number. And so normally people check that $100 box, and then before the record would be produced, you would call them and say, hey, it's going to exceed 100, it's going to be this amount or whatever. But it's kind of baked into the right to know form that there would be a conversation if the fee's going to exceed a certain amount.
So if some of the review is already in that $600, that's the cost. Why is there additional costs for the redaction and the review? I would like to just see that go away.
I mean, that's the board decision to make, but depending on the length of the video, the amount of review that is needed, the amount of redaction that is needed, there might be videos that no redaction is needed, or there's videos that a lot of it is redacted. It varies by.
Cases could vary.
Correct. Varies by what's contained in the video.
We don't want to be in the township, but there's costs.
Is it possible to publish the hourly fee? In other words, it will be $600 and $75 an hour for additional services?
I just don't want to leave it as just so open-ended like that. Like if we can put something in there where it's plus, an estimate or something like that, like as estimated, or just something to not leave it as open-ended.
Who's typically requesting those, attorneys or?
Usually it's in a law firm.
So, that's what I figured, so you want, that's in there to cover your costs, basically, and that's a standard fee you stated.
Yes.
So it's fee plus cost, and you don't know what those are gonna be.
Correct.
They
I mean,
agree
it
to
could
those
be,
up
it could be a
front.
5-minute video, it could be 3 hours.
Have you ever been stuck with somebody not paying?
No, we've actually haven't had very many of those requests. Usually comes up during a civil lawsuit.
Okay. I'm gonna recommend we leave it as is, Steve. I think we should get our costs in. And I think the question should be asked at that time, if they're questioning what they cost, then they should ask the question. We should cover our costs.
I get the discussion as far as like, you know, when you get somebody that's bringing their attorney, et cetera. My concern as I first read that is, does this somehow or other disenfranchise our residents? If they've got a complaint, they now are to a point, I can't even bother, because before I even seek any help, I got $600 just to get the footage. That was
So what
my first
typically-
reaction.
What typically happens is a resident would complain about something an officer did. I would bring them in and we would sit down and watch the video together in my office. They don't get a copy of it, but they can review it and we can watch it together. And
Would you do that with their attorney?
under litigation, probably not. But if
somebody felt that their rights were violated, though, then they'd have to pay.
Well, it would depend on whether or not there was litigation filed or not. You know, if they're taking the first step in the process and filing a complaint with me about an officer, then we would sit down and review it to see if there was an issue.
That would be my only concern, is just again, with thinking about the resident.
I understand.
The person who's really innocent in that situation, and are we impeding? That's my only concern, was just,
I think that's just the cost of doing business in this case, no matter who it is. You know, it's $600 to get the ball rolling, and then it's whatever it costs. Because each case could be different.
You say you sent this out to have it done?
Yeah, we don't redact it
So
ourselves.
could I bid on that? For $600 per?
If you wanted to.
No, this is super. Oh, you're being facetious.
No, I'm being absolutely serious.
Are you?
It's a cash cow. Anyway, I'm sorry, thanks for clarifying.
I'd just like to see something a little more constrained with the cost, not just, whatever the redaction costs or whatever the legal review is, just because that could be anything.
I don't know how you could put it more restrictive. I think it needs to be as written, but that's my opinion, so.
Could it be by the hour?
Or if we can point to.
The 5-minute one wouldn't be nearly as much as you want 12 hours of footage? That way you would know?
Well, without seeing how their reports are all made up, we're kind of relying on the chief to do
Yeah,
that.
I get that.
For example, if company X does this for you, they would have some rate, right, that they would charge it, then we could put that in there, plus whatever their rate is. Or point to them and say what the rate is. Just something that puts kind of narrows it down a little bit.
Alexis, being an attorney, how could you write this that would be fair to everyone? Would you say based on time, film, cost?
Yeah, I think that I would have to think about it a little bit further based on this conversation. What I would want to do is see how other fee resolutions have it written, and maybe they have something to go off of there. That being said, you can amend your fee schedule.
We could pass this without that and come back,
That's
once
my
we
thought.
get
Yeah.
an answer, then
Talk it out
do
again.
it on the
Yeah, or
separate
you could pass it including that, even just like, I know that you said that there's not a lot of these requests, but in case there's a request in the interim, not that this would take very long to like revise or whatever, but what I would recommend is that you pass this as is with giving me a directive to provide
Research.
alternative language to have it amended maybe at the next meeting. And you can amend your fees resolution throughout the year.
I'm in favor of that.
I'm in favor of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll add that to my list.
Anything else?
Steve, would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I'd be happy with
Okay.
that. I got a few more
Oh,
discussions
Fees?
with the fees.
Okay.
Kind of on similar lines with the SEO fee schedule. It says sanitation, I'm sorry. It's SEO fee schedule plus 10% of,
Is that a township fee?
yeah, for 10% for a township fee. So I would be okay if it's 10% of whatever, if we can post the SEO's fees, that it's this much for a permit, it's this much for testing, it's this much for an hourly rate he even has on there. So that we can identify the rates. Because if he has to come out to my place and he charges me $100 to come out there, okay, I don't think the township should get $10 just for him showing up at my place. If he's doing a permit, that requires some administrative work on the township's end, and we need to recoup those costs. But if there's additional work that he's just doing that's not affecting the township, I don't think the township should benefit from that.
Well, the township does keep records, and they have to make the appointments. And they have records that you go back and get. So a 10% fee for whatever the fee is that they're getting, that's time off their staff. And
well, if we're getting just a permit.
Just to give you an example, if you went back to get a survey from Michael Baker, which I had to do, they charge you $100 to go look. They're not guarantee you find anything. They're going to charge you $100. We're charging 10% of
service call.
Yeah, just because they have to take away from their time of day to go do something for you in addition to, on your behalf. So I think there's a good argument for the 10%.
I think for certain cases they're
I get what you're saying, you want to see a fee schedule.
Right.
I don't know, I was going to say that in Jeff's letter, I don't recall if he gave us a.
He has a fee schedule in there.
So MDIA on the website, their fee schedule is on the website. Would you want that? Jeff's fee schedule on the website?
Is that who Jeff works for?
No.
No, I'm saying.
They do that.
Oh.
And now we do the same thing.
Yeah, because that has the building permits and everything else on it. But we list those in the fee schedule, what a building permit is.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but when that happens, you would call Jeff and say, I have this application for whatever. He's gonna say, well, my fee's gonna be.
No, he doesn't tell me up front. He spells it, but no, what I'm saying, Steve, is we get, what do we get from MDA? Is it 10% also? Whatever that fee is. The application fee is different. MDIA charges a fee if they do an electrical inspection, a plumbing inspection, and then the township gets whatever is over top of that. So MDIA's fee schedule is on our website. So if somebody says, how much do you think this would cost, I refer them to that fee schedule.
I think that's what Steve's asking for, the fee schedule for the SEO.
That's what, yeah, so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Would you,
Yes.
would you guys want that on the website
Yes.
as well?
But what I'm saying is, if this isn't just the same as the building on the MDIA end of it, if I'm doing a permit, okay, I fill out all the paperwork and we're going on our way for a permit for testing and that. So that permit and testing costs, we'll say $1,500. If he has to come back and do additional testing, or I failed, or something else, it's a continuation. The township's not really involved at that point, and that's where the 10% would come in, because you're just saying, well, it's 10% of anything that he bills, the township's getting. So they've already kind of got paid to do the administrative end of it for a permit. And if he has to do additional work, that's where I'm saying that.
I think that's the cost of doing business. And if you fail the test, you failed it for a reason. Do you recall how that usually happens? Do you do a total of what Jeff submits you, the total bill, and do that 10%?
You know what, I don't see it after
He
that.
bills us, so if someone comes and gets a permit and he has to go back out 10 times, he bills us each time he goes back out.
What he's saying, he doesn't want to pay 10% for every time. Do you charge 10% for every time?
I'd have to look at the invoice, but I think we're supposed to.
Well, that's what this would say, so I just didn't know if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what this would say, is that you're putting 10% on no matter what.
Total.
Right, on the total. And I think if the township's not doing something, then I don't see why we would.
If it's filing the permit, or if it was, doing some kind of clerical.
Well, it's not a huge number because we don't have many people doing it. Lately, there's no perk test being done.
It's true, that's fair.
The repairs for the inspection.
That's true, there's repairs and some of that.
Yeah.
And there's some
And
re-inspection.
I get both sides of that discussion. Again, you go back to looking at it from the standpoint of the resident, I understand what we have for fee, we have to recoup our costs, but if there are no costs, what are we recouping?
Well, there still is cost from the people taking the calls, we reschedule them, this failed, you know, all that, so. And record keeping again, you know, because you gotta keep all them records, you know, you gotta go look it up. So I don't see any problem with a 10% fee.
So, Jeff Winkle does present a fee schedule for everything he does.
Mhm.
So soil testing is $400. Each additional deep soil test is $50. Review of system design, permit issuance, permit denials, $250. Additional designs is $100. So to get for the resident to get to the sewage enforcement officer, they have to come to the administration office first.
Right, for a permit or something out of the gate, like all those numbers that you listed are listed under, I think for a residential permit, and it's like $1,500 or whatever, but if you add up all those numbers, that's what he charges. So if you did 10% of that, okay, but it's down below it where it's like retesting or additional soil probes, right? Because that only includes 5 or 4, maybe 4 soil probes in the original permit. So if you hadn't ended up having to do 6, right? I don't. That's not. That's not. The township isn't doing anything.
We're setting up the bill because you only have a bill.
Right, so you would get.
It costs what, $240. So from that point on, we gotta manage that.
It's kind of like any
So here's what I'm saying. For the permit, it's like $1,400, $1,500, whatever it says. That number plus 10% is the fee that I think the township should be entitled to. And then if there's additional testing that he has to do, if he's got to dig 5 or 6 holes, that doesn't cost any more burden on the staff.
Okay, but what you're saying, that's already included in what he's doing. If he comes back and has to do more, that's still more. If something fails, he has to go back and do it again. So you know, you could get caught in that trap of, I paid for, you know, on the first fee that failed, and now I'm gonna have a second one, and now maybe I'll have a third one. They're still failing, they're still filling out the permits.
Well, it's one permit.
Well,
Whether
not
they fail
necessarily.
once or
Not
3, 4
necessarily.
times, it's one permit. Just that's
I
one
beg to
number.
differ. It could be, not necessarily, always. I'm just saying that that's kind of a standard thing, it's no different than having an overhead cost. The township does have overhead.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what that 10% to me represents, is the overhead.
Would you rather have it see it at each one of those a fixed fee? So in other words,
I was gonna come to that, yeah.
Oh, well,
No, that's fine.
Trying to find that middle ground to say,
Right.
it's $10 for this, it's 20 for this, it's 30 for that, and so whether it's 1 test or 2 tests or 3 tests, the fee is the fee.
But it's probably more fair to do the 10%.
I'm just going out,
Yeah.
I didn't
think
run the numbers.
It might,
Me neither.
It might shake out to be I think the same, because you're taking 10% of each item as opposed to.
Well, again.
But it would cap it though, you get it one time, it's a one-time fee, you pay that, and so till that, if it's a permit and it's $150, when the permit's done, it's done, whether it took 1 test, 5 tests, or 20 tests.
Yeah,
The permit was $150.
This isn't something that was just changed, was it? This is the way the township has always done it. So we could treat it the same way, Steve. We could look at it again for next meeting.
Okay.
Look into it a little further.
Okay.
Let's pass it the way it is, and we can always amend it. Okay?
Okay, we'll circle back to that.
Okay with you guys?
Yeah.
And one more. Under, in the fee schedule, the zoning hearing board, it has the double asterisk note in it to include the cost of the solicitor, engineer, consultant, and township costs. There's a Act 247, Article 9, Section 9081.1, if you got that.
Okay.
So it reads, the governing body may prescribe reasonable fees with respect to hearings before the zoning hearing board. Fees for said hearing may include compensation for the secretary, members of the zoning hearing board, notices, and advertising costs and necessary administrative overhead connected with the hearing. The costs, however, shall not include legal expenses of the zoning hearing board or expenses for engineering, architectural, or other technical consultants. I have a hard time squaring what that says with that note of plus solicitor, engineer, consultant, and township costs.
We've had this discussion many times. This is, the zoning hearing board is a losing proposition to the township. Every time, no matter what, every time. The only way we saved money in the past was the zoning hearing board used to write their own decisions based on previous hearings. That doesn't happen. Now the attorney writes the answers for everyone. So all the township at this point is recovering, the way I understand it, is the advertising, the court recorder, and the initial attorney fee. To have the attorney show up for the first time. And that's your $400 fee. We've talked at length about trying to raise this up to cover the cost. Because we're paying $1,500 or more. I think that's at least.
It's $900 just for the solicitor.
So we were gonna kind of boost that up a little bit, and we all kind of talked, well, maybe we should, you know. So it's another one that's in flux. It's a question that if you make it too high, nobody's gonna question the ordinance because they can't afford to fight it.
Double Aster's been there for many years, we haven't been charging these solicitors.
So we're just charging our initial cost right now to cover advertising, the attorney fee, and court recorder.
So take this out. Take out the double asterisk.
I think what you should do is maybe schedule a workshop meeting and go over this whole fee schedule, because there's a lot of things on there that needs some button up.
Well, Martin's point is that we're sufficient with the charge, but Steve's point is that this doesn't square with the law.
I think the law is referring to the answer that he's writing. And we're
Well,
not-
no, it says you're not allowed to charge for solicitor, engineer, or, what else did you say?
Architectural or technical consultants, but you are allowed to charge for hearing, hold on, let me back up here, this is too small. Secretary and members of the zoning hearing board, they can be paid. Advertising costs and necessary administrative overhead connected with the hearing.
This is the plus all solicitor, engineer, and consulting, and township costs. That's the.
So I think what we should probably do is maybe schedule a workshop meeting just for that. Our legal team can review that also and get our legal opinion on it.
And I may be misquoting too. You know, I'm saying it's for the initial attorney's fee because that's what we were always kind of told. That may not be the case.
You're pretty familiar with this particular?
Yeah, I agree that this fee is not supposed to include legal fees or engineering fees. In terms of like the last part and township costs, if that's the additional overhead costs, then I think that that's appropriate. But I would agree that probably the first three, solicitor, engineer, and consultant, could be struck, especially if you're not charging for them in practice. That being said, I also agree that probably a workshop meeting going through these items one by one would be helpful.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, a while back, Scott Coburn advised that find that the average, and that becomes your township fee, because you're not permitted to do the adding those things on as add-ons.
Yeah, no, that's what normally happens is that.
A fee.
Correct, yeah.
Go
And,
ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, generally, like $500 or $400 is like kind of low.
That's what I thought. And ours has always been, for as long as I can remember, that's what it's been.
Yeah.
Advertising fees have gone through the roof.
I was gonna say, because you still have to do it in the newspaper.
I think the advertising fee itself is almost the $400.
There you go.
It's a-
So
Yeah.
we're well within legality.
Yeah.
And I'm misspeaking by saying we're
So,
charging for the attorney fee. Okay, so it's advertising, administrative, you have to submit the paperwork and get it to everybody, there is some admin there.
Yeah, yep.
So, right now, our fee is low, because what we talked about before, like Doug said, our fee should be more like $900 on
yeah.
average.
Yeah.
And so, same thing, I think we should pass this as it is.
Can we amend that one section just so it stays legal? Would you
I think it
recommend
is
that?
legal. It was my comment that made it the attorney.
Plus all solicitor engineer.
Yeah, so what I would recommend is, because we're already gonna, I think you guys had agreed to add the 6 PM to, not 6 PM. That was to one of these items already.
Correct.
That the motion be items 32 through 39 as amended for the discussion of the board, and we understand that that will include the 6:30 PM on the item 35, and then approving the 2025 fee schedule. I do think that this last line should be struck, except for the township costs. So what would be struck would be, it would say plus all township costs. And then we pass this with the understanding that there will be more amendments to this resolution in February.
Hang on here. On this, that note, that double asterisk note, it applies to conditional use, right above it, so
Yeah.
it's in a couple places.
Yeah.
So I think we would just remove the double asterisks from the zoning hearing board and maybe make a triple asterisk note and put in there that plus township costs. So it's just,
Well, actually, conditional use hearings fall under that section 908.
oh, they're in there as well?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So-
Yeah, so that would
You're
just,
not allowed to charge for additional fees for that. It has to be a fixed fee.
Yeah, it would be the same fee normally for
But
those.
typically, in a zoning hearing board, they ask for engineering and consultants and other additional information. So what this is saying is the township cannot get their own. In other words, we can't ask our engineer to consult on this when it's our ordinance, and that doesn't make sense to me.
So I think that this is a legal discussion that needs to occur at maybe a workshop meeting, but my advice to you right now is that these solicitor and engineer and consultant should be taken off, and it should just say other township costs. And what is going to be built into those township costs are some legally allowable overhead related to the review of the application.
Legally allowable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that being said, I have a note that we need to talk about this right down here, the zoning hearing board fees, as well as the police fee review language, and potentially the sewage enforcement officer language, and those are the 3 items that we need to revisit before February. Okay.
All right. Who wants to make that motion?
So I'll make a motion and then somebody can say so moved.
There we go. I like that idea.
Items 32 through 39, motion to approve items 32 through 39 as amended to add the 6:30 PM notation to item 35, and to strike from the fee schedule on item 38 the language on the last page that says solicitor, engineer, and consultant. Lori, do you have that?
I think so.
Okay. That's the motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Motion is
Well,
second?
someone needs to say so moved and then a second.
So moved.
I'll second.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Now we need to have a roll call. On 32 through 39, we have any additional comments? Everybody's good. All right. Roll call.
Steve?
yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes. Okay, items 4258 can be voted on in one motion. Full-time employees, police chief, or police bargaining unit and road department per contract. Full-time employee manager, zoning officer, Ronald Linebacker, per budget. Full-time employee secretary, Lori Boardman, per budget. Full-time employee treasurer, Nicole Lister, per budget. Full-time employee police admin assistant, Chris Dieter, per budget. Part-time employee, Robbie Barkley, per budget. Solicitor, per fee contract. Engineer, per fee contract. Roadmaster, set by the auditors, per job class, per agreement. Police, outside activities, $44 an hour, or $40 an hour. Outside work, $65 an hour, or $60 an hour. All other part-time employees, minimum wage of $7.25. Code enforcement, Officer Peggy Griffith, $600 per month. Sewage enforcement officer and planning consultant, per fee contracts. Animal control, per agreement with Beaver County Humane Society. Pellet consulting, per fee contract. Recycling, Big Nog Livestock Club, $600 per quarter. Tax collection, 5% to our tax collector. Fire tax and property tax, 5%. After it exceeds $1,250,000 is 3%. Millage, IRS allowance for 2025 is 70 cents a mile. Jordan tax service per agreement. 32 through 58. I'm sorry, not 32 through 58, 40 through 58.
I'll move to approve items 40 to 58.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Steve?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Mark?
All right. Yes, that concludes our reorganization meeting. We need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Closed, adjourned. Reorganization meeting. This time, we'll open up our agenda meeting, Supervisors' regular meeting. We did the pledge, we did the invocation. Security cameras have been installed in the meeting room for visual recordings for security purposes only. Members of the public could be recording the meeting. An executive session will be held following tonight's meeting under 65 PA-CS 708A, 3 and 4. Minutes. Approve the December 30th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. We'll take action on that.
I move to approve the December 30, 2024 meeting minutes as submitted.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Steve?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes. Item number 5, bills, general and stormwater fund, December 31st, 2024 through January 6th, 2025 to be paid. We'll take action on that.
I move to pay the bills from the general and stormwater funds from December 31st through January 6th as submitted with the signing of the checks following the meeting.
A second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Steve?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes. Item number 6, public comments, limited to 3 minutes per person. We entertain any public comments at this time.
Yeah, Laura Dangle, 425 Klein Road. I would just like to ask the board or the solicitor if it's typical in other municipalities to have term limits on appointed boards. I did address this, I believe it was last year. I would like to see term limits on all of our appointed boards. The Planning Commission, the Rec Board, the Zoning Hearing Board, and the Municipal Authority Board. The incumbents are simply reelected. There's no opportunity for a seat to be open to anyone else in the public when these terms come to an end.
I could comment briefly on that. We're entertaining, or we will put a application on our new website when we get the website up and running for all the boards. It was something the board come to agreement on that anybody that wishes to be on a certain board, one of our appointed boards, can then apply as seats become available or terms come up. Then we can have other people to entertain or talk to, and we'll retain, like we did in previous, we'll retain some of the applications to go back to in the case. So that's our intent, is when we get the website up and running, which is, I'm not sure what status of that, but I know it's in the works. to have the public, that's always gonna be available to submit their application to the board, for those different boards, whichever they may decide to do, or want to do.
Okay.
So that's our intent. So, is there anything further?
No, I just think that, anecdotally from my experience, I only ever was aware of one municipality that had term limits on their zoning hearing board. And actually they, at the beginning of last year, removed those term limits because they had trouble finding people to sit on the board who weren't already sitting on the board, previously and needed to be reappointed. So, it does happen, but like not all the time. But it's not a bad idea if, the township is concerned about getting, fresh perspective on things, but it's generally difficult to, find people interested in serving on a lot of those boards. I mean, it's just like a tough time to be an elected or appointed official, as I'm sure you guys are aware, so.
Okay. And then my second comment is just a question pertaining to the water line. I saw that there were some concerns pertaining to mandatory fees, and residents are concerned that at some point in the future that the water line may become mandated. So I've asked, again, this is going to expire here, but I've asked before that this board post something on their website on behalf of the township. This is a major project, and typically when there are big infrastructure improvements in communities, this is something that you want your residents to be proud of, to be informed about, and there's no transparency. I go to the meetings at the Municipal Authority, I ask for the Board of Supervisors. No one knows what's going on in this township, and I don't understand why this water line is a big secret.
I think it's a big secret. I think it's pretty.
No one has any information about it. It's 90 days. It's 90 days past its projected completion. It was projected to be completed on October 31st. The construction company asked for a 30-day extension. That puts us at the end of November. Today is January 6th. The water line's not up and running. The water line's still not in the ground. You ask the Municipal Authority what's happening. You get shut down. I was just there. You can watch it online. Okay, so I go to the appropriate board to ask the appropriate questions. Where's this project at? When is it projected to be completed? And, why isn't this information on the website? That's it. It's just simple. Instead, we're leaving Facebook to have all of this, mandatory, non-mandatory, your daughter-in-law's answering questions pertaining to, the board's not going to, Mr. Phipps's wife is answering questions. Why is it that we're hearing from your family members via Facebook instead of our elected officials in person or on your website? And put something out there to inform the public so there's no questions.
Sounds exciting. But, to that effect, we're not aware of any fees that are being charged for this water line. A letter's been sent out to people along this water line. If they wish to hook up at this time, that's what I say. There's no mandatory fee that I'm aware of at this time.
This board is now going to be financially invested as of tonight's Municipal Authority meeting. The motion to authorize engineering to prepare and submit a reimbursement request to the new Sewickley Township. Okay, so can you tell us about what you're paying? Can you tell us what you're paying for the water line?
That's the board's committed fee or allotment that we agreed to, that the Beaver County has put out, I believe it's 2.3 million. And our contribution to that was like a little over 800,000, I believe is what it is. Was ARPA money? It's ARPA money. It was grant money. So
ARPA's not grants, it's funds, but okay.
Well,
But can you give us can you tell the public that? Can you put that on the website? We are contributing to the water line. We're matching contributions or whatever it
I don't
is.
see a reason why we can't put that out there. It's all, I thought it was public information. I mean, it's not something we're trying to keep secret. That was money that was negotiated from Beaver County, and we're contributing to that to bring a backbone system to a badly needed part of the township. And we need public water, and we're getting fire hydrants to help our fire departments. It's going to help people's insurance. It's going to help people that need water. We're applying for additional grants. We got another additional grant of $250,000 It's gonna extend the water line a little bit further.
Right.
And we're gonna keep doing that.
Right, so inform the public, so put this information out there so people can read up on it and say, hey, you know what, my water's bad, maybe they can get a grant on Dean Street.
What you're trying to get at is and maybe the municipal authority won't commit to, because they can't commit to, because we don't know in the future what these lines are gonna cost. And there may be fees. I could say that there may be fees, not in the ones we're doing now, because we're not projecting a fee to do that, we're putting the line in. But at some future point, like what somebody was saying down in Freedom, Freedom had to put a line in and they had to pay fees, everybody did, that cover the cost of the installation. It's very expensive, it's millions of dollars. So are we requiring anybody to do it now? No, to my knowledge, we're not. Will they in the future? I can't answer that, and I'm not gonna commit the board to that, or the township. We don't know.
Do we have any say-so in that?
I don't know, we do or not, yeah. We
No,
know.
the water authority is, we're not in charge of the water.
You are, you appoint the board. You appoint the board. You are in charge of the water authority.
They run it.
It's a different government entity.
But you appoint the board and you continue to appoint incumbents to that board.
Well, just
That is the
suffice it to say
concern.
that we're not charging fees at this time. What's going in the ground now, and that the delays would be rock, delays would be cold weather. You know, I don't know what all, they've had some difficulty that they didn't anticipate. It's a tough area to dig. And in cold weather, machines don't run. When it's zero, you're gonna break more equipment than you will get water line in. So I get that. It should have been done sooner, probably should have. But you can't control construction. Sometimes you run into obstacles. You gotta break rock to get through sometimes. They're doing a lot of boring. We've had easements that we had to get. So it's a big operation, in other words.
Right.
And we're only going out as far as 989, the salt shed on 989 anyway. As far as then there has to be another agreement made with Weaver Homes for the development. It's gonna take it the rest of the way. That'll be another agreement with the municipal authority, not the board of supervisors. But to answer your question in a long way, yes, it does involve the board of supervisors because we're involved. But do we have all the answers? No, the municipal authority covers that. That's their entity. So, long story short, we're not charging any fees that I'm aware of. Any other additional comments? Any MS4 comments? Okay, moving on. Treasury report as submitted. Adopt resolution number 1-25, police pension. We'll take action on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recommend we, without objection, do an omnibus vote on B, C, D, and E. Just approve all the resolutions.
Down to E?
I agree.
I agree. All right. Resolution number 125 for the police pension. Resolution number 225 for the fire department. Resolution 325 declaring the Sewickley Township a Second Amendment sanctuary state, or sanctuary township. We'll take action on that. Resolution number 425, records destruction. We'll take action on those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Any motion?
I move to adopt the omnibus resolution covering items B, C, D, and E in the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Steve? Yes. Doug?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes. Item F, let the staff know who will be attending the state convention by January 10th. Information only. So you guys need to let Lori know who's attending the state convention. Item number G.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Jenny Besser from the Planning Commission would like to attend also.
Yes, he's getting an award up there, I understand.
Posted.
He's supposed to, or could.
So, is she being approved?
I think we can amend it to,
Yes.
let's amend it to.
Well, this is letting the staff know if we want to attend.
Martin, that was part of the reorg, section, is to approve any of the, that was the people, that was.
She's already in that list of people? So she's in there.
She's in,
Okay.
Planning Commission is on that list.
All this is just information to alert the
give it to Tom.
Okay, so we don't have to action on it. Public safety. Are there any additional questions or comments on that?
You skipped over to the G.
Auditor will reorganize on 1/7/2025. Item number 8, public safety. Police, monthly report submitted. Should all have that. B, fire department report submitted. Is there anybody here from the fire departments?
How are you? Just so everybody's aware, next Monday, the 13th, our fire department meeting, the new fire department will come online as Municipal Fire District, and both Big Knob and Pine Run Fire Departments will be closed. So, the names will be closed. Both the stations will still be open, but they will be operating under the new fire department. Name is the organization. Everything was approved at the end of December through the state level. So as of next Monday, the new fire department will be in service.
Meetings monthly at, which, are they divided?
The way it's working right now is the odd months are down at the Harvey Run Road Station, and the even meetings are at the 989 station.
Anything further you have to do legally or any of that? It's all done?
Everything will be done next month. Everything's done now. Next Monday, everything will be finalized at the county. So the fire departments will be removed out of the CAD. The new fire department number will be put in as Station 52, and the new officers will take their positions next Monday.
Have you got the lettering done and you got to work on all that?
Half the trucks are done. All the small trucks are done and re-lettered. We're waiting to restripe all the big trucks.
You got money from the county to do that?
Yeah, I believe we submitted for $50,000. Until everything was finalized at the state, we had to have a W-9 and some other things to submit to them to get the check. So we're just waiting to see what we get from there. All of our uniforms have been rebranded. So now it's just finalizing some trucks. Probably in the spring do something with the stations.
Thanks for all your efforts. It was a big project.
Sure was.
Very well done.
Thank you guys for all the help.
Very welcome. Okay. Road Department. RJ, monthly report. I don't know if I've seen a monthly report from RJ.
Busy plowing snow.
It's in there.
Been busy the last couple of days?
Very busy, very busy.
Okay. Anything we should be aware of?
No.
Other than PennDOT's not showing up?
Yeah, they're doing a very poor job. Very poor job.
Maybe we need to have less meetings with them. We've had more meetings with them than we've ever had, and they're less responsive than they've ever been.
Yeah, it's been bad, for sure.
So we're gonna have to look into that a little bit.
Have you been called on to do 68? Rumors that you helped them out?
We helped the day that, the officers fell down, we helped that day.
Is that 989? Or, Deer Lane?
Well, we helped on 68, Brush Creek, Mellon, and, which one is up the hill back? So, but when we do that, we get so far behind on our own roads. That was 4 hours till I got to my run. So like it's just too much.
Are you keep track of the hours, time, salt? Well, if we're gonna meet, I want them to know what they cost us already.
I mean, we can't provide them snow service. I don't think it
No, we're not looking to
I'm
do
not
that.
looking, I'm saying, we're talking about exchanging. Let's talk about the exchange that's already gone on before we've even agreed to anything. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
we won't be able to use it.
All right, I'll write down what we did.
We won't be able to use it. But it'd still be nice to know what it costs.
RJ, just out of curiosity, I thought I heard last year that they were offering for any private contractors to adopt roads. Is that still active?
There is private contractors out there.
So the landscapers, and so there are people out there doing state roads under their agreement with PennDOT.
Correct.
There's somebody on my route today.
Yeah, so I thought, because somebody went down past my place and it was a private contractor and he was salting and plowing and the whole bit. So I know that they've been searching,
I know, like Doug said, last year, there was if municipalities helped out,
that they could get reimbursed.
Well, that's what we did last meeting, is we have to have an agreement in place to do that.
Okay.
So there's a reciprocating agreement that we're now entering into to see if that'll work.
When we looked at that, I don't know if it's correct you, Mark, but when we looked at that last time, the reimbursement rate was, I think, 60% of what we pay. So we would actually be paying to do state roads on top of, because of our fee compared to what they reimburse. And as RJ's saying, it puts our roads behind by 4 hours so that we can get less money to go do their work.
I don't believe we're looking to take over any of their work.
No.
We're looking to see if we can get some money out of them to our benefit. Line painting or some mowing or, some other things. You can't get anything unless you have the agreement. So we put the agreement in place to see if it's gonna work. It may not. So we're not gonna be giving anything away that, we're gonna take a hard look at it.
From fire department standpoint, we appreciated it. Because you got us off the road too.
Actually, for residents, absolutely. RJ, we don't know what we do without you guys,
The guys have been doing a great job.
It's one thing to have a truck and itself, but you gotta have operators.
Yeah.
These guys have to know how to operate these trucks, and that's what we ran into with Sendo. They got new drivers, but that doesn't mean they can drive a truck in the snow. Wow.
Yeah.
So if you see Pittsburgh News, they're telling you stay 6 car lengths away from these guys. Stay okay, and maybe more, so it's not good. So anyway, thanks for what you're doing, and I know you can only do so much in so much time, and we appreciate that. It's only been the first 2 snows.
Yeah, we've been busy.
So thanks for your efforts.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Gus.
Gus, yeah, we all are.
Reading.
February. Engineer, monthly report submitted. Got anything for us?
You guys have our engineer's report, and I don't have anything to add unless there's questions from the board.
Questions from the board? Planning Commission, what you got for us? Anything on the table?
Nothing.
All quiet?
All quiet.
Good. Municipal Authority, I guess there's nobody here. Their next meeting next door.
Was there a, report from the planning commission that was sent to the board for year 2024?
Not yet. We submit it by March 1st.
Okay.
It's being worked on.
For 2025, if you can get that like monthly, instead of 3 months
We have
into the-
minutes every month. You can read the minutes.
Yeah. Or you could submit a report. No?
The minutes, once they're approved, they're available.
Yeah.
We just give you the minutes if that's what you want. Lloyd can send them to you.
Yeah. I just don't know how much value there is in getting the report for the year after the year.
It's a state requirement.
Yeah, I see. It just checks the box. Doesn't actually
I
have any
think
value,
we
just checks the
do a
box.
pretty good job of giving you a full review of what we did do for the
Yeah,
year.
I agree. In that yearly report, it's very well written, very thorough. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be nice to get it every month. As you go through it, so.
Minutes are available after we approve them.
Then the report would be written on December 30th.
Right. You know, okay.
They'll all be a month behind anyway, so.
Yeah.
Till we approve them.
Just a recreation board.
We have our reorganization meeting on Monday night. And we're just gonna start planning out things and picking dates. I've already contacted a couple bands, and the dates I gave them, they're already booked. So we're just gonna
Keep working
start
on it.
hitting them, January to try to get bands. They're playing everywhere now. So.
Very good. Keep up the good work. Building, zoning, and code, monthly report submitted.
We'll see you next.
I didn't see one either.
We do have these ones, but we don't have the
Every once in a while I get those in the blank for some reason.
well, that's a
Brings us to attorney comments. Anything further for the board, attorney? Want to give us an update on?
Yeah, so I provided a solicitor's report, a written solicitor's report last meeting on the 30th, I believe it was, and in between then and now, there was an oral argument on the appeal of the Meadowcrest Plan Residential tentative approval that was granted by the board in the earlier half of last year. And present at that oral argument were counsel for the residents that filed the appeal, counsel for the developer, and myself. There were also some residents in the courtroom and some members, I believe, of the developer team that were present in the courtroom to view the arguments. And I know Ron was going to come, but we got a terrible snowstorm on Friday, so it was lengthy, primarily because I think Judge Ross was in and out on some PFA work that he was doing, so he had to put us on hold a few times. But he did end up rendering a decision from the bench that day, which I wasn't expecting to have a decision that soon, but he affirmed the board's decision, which means that it was upheld and the appeal was denied. That is appealable, so this could be an ongoing thing or it could be resolved. We'll just have to wait and see, and time will tell. But as it stands right now, the tentative approval of the Meadowcrest Plan Residential Development is still the status quo. That is approved.
We want to thank you for your efforts on it.
Thank you.
Anything further we should look at? There's nothing on Verizon. That's all went quiet.
Oh, Verizon? Hi, yeah, no, so that appeal was our appeal, which was granted the board's objections to that, approval that was issued by the zoning hearing board. They had 30 days to appeal and they didn't, so.
And thanks for your work on that one.
Yeah, great, I was happy to do it.
Brings us to board comments. Any additional comments from the board? Yes.
Mr. Scheck sitting there. I've known you for a long time, a lot of dinners at Liberty Hills. I want to thank you for all your years of service. It's hard to give it up, but there is life after retirement. So I want to thank you for myself, the board, the residents. You've done a great service to the community, and I want to thank you wholeheartedly for what you've done, Jim. Thank you very much.
If you don't mind, I'd like to dovetail on Fritz's. I've known Jim a whole lot longer.
Yes, you have.
And in a different way, so I want to speak just from my personal perspective, Jim, as a neighbor. Been a pleasure. I appreciate anytime anything ever happened at my address, there was an answer within minutes, and Jim Scheck was through the door, and I really appreciated that every single time he responded. So I have a personal thank you for all the times you were there for us. Appreciate it.
And the township as a whole. Thank you. We're not going to forget it. And appreciate all your efforts. And I'm sure you'll contribute as time goes on as much as you can, but I'm sure PJ will do a good job.
Absolutely.
I agree. So, well, thank you. We'll see you around, I'm sure.
And I want to thank Pastor also. Very good sermon, Pastor. Homily.
I could have done one of those for you.
You get into the sermon. Thank you very much, sir.
I have one comment I'd like to aim at the planning commission. For the last couple of years, I've been reading that the legislatures and some legislators have been trying to put in some ordinances that will alleviate what they call as housing shortages, which means that they could come in and change our ordinances as far as density of population and so on. And my understanding is the governor just signed a bill this week to move it through somewhat. It's moved through to the Community and Economic Development Group, the Department of Community and Economic Development, and they're currently seeking input. So maybe we should look into giving them some input on our thoughts about what they should be allowed to come in and tell us we can and cannot do. So. my comment.
I didn't hear about it, but we'll look for the report and see what it says.
I've seen that also. They're looking to,
Yeah, it's building up ahead of steam. It's been the last couple of years. The legislators have been trying to get this through, and apparently if the governor signed a bill, it's moving ahead, so.
everybody's looking for affordable housing.
Was that something that was in this packet, or no?
Well, this is it.
This is it?
It's been this part right here at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
But it's been, again, it's been going on for the last couple of years.
Well, especially the governor's behind it now.
Yeah.
Trying to push it, so.
So,
Don't know what that's gonna look like, but it can't be all multifamily, you know, that's the most cost effective. You can't do all that.
Well, they wanna reduce the square footage of
Yeah,
houses.
small
That's the
houses is a
problem.
big thing in a lot of places. And,
There used to be a 1,092 was the floor of new homes, period. And that kind of went by the wayside, but nothing has developed on it. So I don't know. I don't know what to do.
but it seems to be, again, building up ahead of steam to do it, so, you know, having them come in and tell us what we can and can't do as far as our zoning ordinances.
I can't see how, there's no builders out there building like the Robin Hood Drive type houses. Slab, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, little ranch houses, nobody's doing it.
Well, Ryan Holmes tried it about 10 years ago, where they built slabs, and they didn't work, really didn't work out. You know, people moved into them and they were very unhappy.
Even the Robin Hood Drive stuff is now over 200,000 resale on a 40-year-old house, you know. It's just tough, so I mean, it's worth looking into, but I don't know where it leads. You know, it's a township, we can't go build houses. You know. We need to be maybe a little, like Mike says, a little proactive. Can we try to accommodate?
Yeah, we'd have to see what's in it, what they're looking to do.
I did see the same thing, the governor's behind it, so. With that, we need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.